Why did I switch from a smartphone that had all of the gadgets, doodads, and do-gooders to a archaic Nokia flip phone that only has the basic features of calling, texting, and extremely minimal internet browsing? I mean, like Wikipedia barely works on this thing. I don't know how they got a default YouTube app on this thing. But nonetheless, it is archaic, it is basic, but it is brand new. It works with my new SIM, no converter card required, and it does what it needs to do, which is call and text. And I can take the battery out at any point if I'm feeling schizo, which is something you cannot do on a smartphone. But that is not the main reason why I switched to a flip phone. The main reason I switched to a flip phone is because smartphones are distracting. The apps that are on them, specifically social media, but other apps as well, are designed to keep your attention for as long as possible and to keep you using them for as much as possible. We have seen an entire generation of children grow up with these things and all of a sudden have problems with their attention spans, with focusing, with paying attention. I don't think it is a coincidence that with so much technology in the hands of these younger and younger people that actively preys upon their reward system, the feeling of dopamine that you get from seeing a new tweet, from watching a new short form video, that preys upon our basic instincts and desires. I don't think it's any coincidence that a generation who was raised with that sort of predatory technology now all of a sudden has trouble paying attention, because most of their time is spent looking at this short form content that gives you these quick hits of dopamine that don't actually provide any lasting value. And I was not immune to that. I was not immune to the mind virus that is modern technology, to the cancer plaguing our society that is social media used on a smartphone. I'll admit it. I used Twitter on a smartphone sometimes. Now, I tried my best to mitigate the risks involved with it. I would uninstall it every time I was done using it, but even just YouTube, I'd find myself going to the Shorts tab and watching things I didn't want to watch, or the search bar, or the recommendations feed, and watching things I didn't really want to watch. Even though I have watch history turned off, I still got videos recommended to me. And so, what do you do in that situation? You escape. Now, this is not a full-on escape from the botnet, but it's pretty damn close. No longer am I shackled by the addiction that social media induces in us, that desire for those quick hits of dopamine, seeing the next vague, boring, or hateful post that you're going to forget 5 minutes later. It's gone. I don't have to deal with any of that. I can read my books, I can play my video games, I can work on my art, do my projects, and most importantly, not be distracted from my schoolwork, which is, of course, of the utmost importance as of now, because getting my GED is going to give me the ability to get future certificates and degrees and so on. And so that's step one, is getting that GED. So in order to get that, I have to study for that. How do I study for that? Well, by being consistent every single day at studying for that, which means necessarily cutting out distractions. A smartphone is a distraction. A flip phone is not. Do you know how difficult it is to text on this thing? It's pretty damn hard. You have to switch through the letters that you were given. If you want to type something, there's like 4 different letters on one key, and you have to click and then go up and move to which letter you want. It takes you like 10 minutes to type a sentence. It's crazy long, but that's going to keep you away from texting. Not that I did much of that to begin with, but it's going to keep me away from it. So the few addictive things that this type of phone is even capable of doing, not there. But it does have Google Maps. It has a rundown, slimmed down version of Google Maps that I can use to get me from point A to point B. And that is all I need in one of these little gadgets besides call and text. I don't need anything else. I need Google Maps and call and text. When I'm out walking, I can just flip this thing open, look at Google Maps, and know where I'm going. And there you go. If I need to call someone suddenly, I'll call them. If I got mugged and I had a smartphone on me, someone would probably take the smartphone. I doubt they would take this if I whipped this out. This cost less than $100. If I whipped this open in front of an armed robber, I think they would laugh at me. I think they would assume that literally nothing I have is of value and go on to the next person. But if they took my smartphone, sure, it would be encrypted, but that would be what? $1,000, $500, $400, $300 down the drain? Even if this was taken from me. It's easily replaceable. And that's not even to say anything about the amount of data that gets stored on smartphones that will inevitably be looked through at border crossings. I like to do international travel. My wife is Canadian, but whenever I go to Canada to do things with my wife or to do Canada stuff, when I come back on the US side, they want to search through my phone. And there are going to be lewd photos of me and her, photos of my friends' faces who don't want to be on some government database just because that's a violation of privacy, all of my notes for ideas for videos, or perhaps diary entries that I have that I don't want anyone to see because diaries are personal. These things can all be on a phone, and just because you're at a border crossing, they have the legal right to search through your phone. Now, you can actually not consent to a search by not giving them the code, but that gives them the right to seize your phone. So they can actually seize your phone if you don't open it just because you're at a border crossing. They consider the digital content on your phone to be akin to the contents of your luggage. In other words, you have no rights against unlawful searches and seizures at borders. But with this thing, if I flip this open when I'm at a border crossing and they're like, hey, OsakaSyndrome, come into this special room here, we've got a few questions for you because your videos are a little sus or whatever. It's always the same thing. They just think my YouTube videos are weird, and then they bring me in the little room to talk to me because my videos are so weird. If I flip this thing open, there's not 1,000,001 pieces of personally identifying information. There's my family's phone numbers, my wife's phone number, her family's phone numbers, and that's it. Google Maps, I'm not even signed in with my Google account on this thing. And you can delete your history of the places that you've been with Google Maps. So, if the glowies come get me during one of those arbitrary, searches and seizures, it's like there's nothing for them to find on this thing. And they shouldn't have the right to do that. They should have absolutely no right to do the thing that they do to people. It is a flagrant violation of the Constitution. But because it's a border crossing, they do it anyway. But with this, not an issue. Additionally, being tracked. I know that turning location off is helpful. I know that putting tinfoil around your smartphone is helpful, but being able to physically take the battery out is paramount as well, to have some anti-tracking technology on your hands if you believe that you're being tracked. And so That's why I'm flip phone pilled. I like the minimalist nature of the technology because it can do all of the things that I need it to do. I don't need addictive social media apps that are actively corroding our society today and really providing nothing of value. Like, they're just distracting me when I'm supposed to be doing my work to, advance my education and improve my life and be a better member of society. So I don't have all of that. I don't have all of that noise to hear, to drown out what's important. I have a device that does what I need it to do, which is call, text, and sometimes show me how to get where I need to get to. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. If it is more complicated than that, it's probably bad. In fact, it's not probably bad, it is bad.